Thank you very much, Barney, and great to have you all here today. So in my next 14 minutes, I want to achieve four things. First, I want to explain my motivation. Why am I taking this step? Secondly, I want to outline my objectives and what am I trying to achieve. Thirdly, it's a little bit about positioning, how I want to be perceived. And finally, I want to explain to you the potential for you to support me. And so I'll outline a few roles. So they're the four things we want to achieve today. Let's start with motivation. Why am I taking this step? I believe, like many of you, that Australia is facing many serious challenges. And it's pretty clear to me, and to many others it seems, that the current political system, and if I was controversial, the current candidates, the current members of parliament, are inadequate in terms of depth of policy and thinking to address those problems. Secondly, I believe this is the right time to run an independent campaign. Look at the last 5 years, the rise of the vote for independence, for small parties, even if some of those are the celebrity type style, but there's no doubt that more people are willing to take away the tradition of rusted on votes. Thirdly, and my mum challenged me on how different today would be to my normal presentations, because I don't normally talk about myself. But today, thirdly, I believe I've got the right qualities to run an independent campaign. My business experience, my community involvement, my critical thinking skills, my interest in people, my willingness to share ideas, I think is a good mix for this type of campaign. And finally, why? I believe that I can actually make a difference to the people in Bennelong. So, wrapping it up, motivation, why am I doing this? I think this is the right time to have a go. Secondly, I said I was going to talk about my objectives. And you may be interested to hear how the objectives changed in the last 6-12 months since I've been planning this. There's a few people here that were present when I first announced this out loud. And at that stage, I had a very simple objective. It was to improve the quality of the debate, to lift the standard of the conversation, get some facts and policy out there for people to debate and take an interest in. That was all I wanted to achieve. And associated with that was really nice to get 4% of the vote to get my money back. But as I spoke to more people who were remarkably encouraging, I lifted that to a second objective, a higher objective. It said, why wouldn't you set out to actually influence the electorate itself? Why wouldn't you set out to have an impact on the result? So at a minimum, why wouldn't you aim to have your preferences deciding the outcome? So the next highest level of objective, as it was about 3 months ago, was, okay, that sounds like I should be aspiring to 10% of the vote. But when I started to think about today, I'm in touch with many of the people in this room and a whole lot of people who were apologies that said, no, I want to be part of the show. And also talking to people who run campaigns, knowing that you need 150 to 200 people, I'm thinking, how can I get 150 to 200 people to give up time and effort for me unless we're serious about this? So now, my objective has been clarified. I am now playing to win. Now, there's been plenty of people, especially some of my actuary friends, who said that's really unlikely. What is the probability of that? I was challenging. And yeah, it is. It is unlikely. But I'm inspired by Kathy McGowan and her win in 2013. And I have had a look. I've done quite a bit of research. Numbers are on the board if you're interested in having a look. The way the preferential system works, with 20% of the primary vote, and the preferences of the minor parties to go past the ALP candidate, and then their preferences would be enough on a basis of 20%, with some other assumptions. That assumption would be, if we could get 10,000 of the people who voted Liberal last time to switch, 4,000 people who voted Labor to switch, 2,000 people who voted for minor parties to switch, and we've got a few of them here, first-time voters we get 2,000 of those, there's your 18,000. So, unlikely, but it's plausible. So, let's be clear, when it comes to objectives, I am now playing to win the seat. Let's have a test. Let's do a reality check. Reality check. Now, I hope I can see almost everybody from here. If you can see me, I should be able to see you. Put up your hand if you have never voted for an independent candidate in your life. Put up your hand if you've never voted independent. Great, that's what I expected. That's what I expected. All right, so keep your hands up. So I want to get some volunteers on this. Okay, so Jared, what's one reason why you've never voted independent?
Never met the candidate.
Okay, right. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge. 100,000 people in Bennelong. How can I get out there to meet them? So that's a challenge. I've got to meet them if I want them to vote for me. Glenys, why have you never voted independent?
Well, you never get anything through your letterbox about what they stand for, and I don't read my local paper, I have to admit, so you never know what they're on about.
Okay, all right, so, gee, that's a challenge. Okay, that's why we're starting now. How can I get in letterboxes, social media, maybe even local paper, rallies to get people to not only meet me, as Jared says is going to be required, but to get them to understand what I'm for? In the other room, Jim, why have you never voted independent? Just one reason?
Mine has been to Manly.
Only when my visa allows me.
We haven't had a good one.
You haven't had a good one? Okay, well, that's another challenge, right? Because I'm sure there's lots of people, if you have a look, I'll come back to that in a moment. If you have a look at independent candidates, there's a lot of people that are sceptical because why are they doing it? Are they actually a good candidate? So yeah, this is a big step. How can I convince people that this is a good one? Who else had their hand up with a different reason? Larry, you have your hand up?
Some of the reasons.
Kelly, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. But
what's your reason? Why have you never voted independent?
The major parties are able to provide longer term visions and strategies.
Okay, all right. All right, so that's interesting. So Kelly has not voted independent because really the carriage of long-term policy should be in the major parties. All right, so again, that's a challenge. I think there's a few people thinking, really, long-term policies, major parties? Maybe there's another way of doing it. Anyway, just from those four answers reminds me that this is a significant challenge to get people to vote for an independent. And that's what we're starting now. No one knows when the election will be, which is another problem with the system, but I'll worry about that one another day. But if it is 18 months away, and that's the plan, is we use the 18 months to build profile, to meet people, to say what I'm for, to show that it's a genuine and actual real deal candidate, to show some alternative to the long-term alleged policies of the major parties. No, good reality check. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. The third thing I said I was going to do today was to do a little bit about my positioning. So how do I want to be perceived? So I've been sharing ideas with a brand advisor, the person who helped me set up the Edium website, the business one, and she's now based in the UK, so she's not influenced by kind of local thinking. But this is where we've come to. Reasonably simple structure at the moment. First, I am local and independent. Secondly, I'm offering a different approach to politics. And thirdly, I'm delivering that with four values. I'm delivering that with respect, with fairness, with balance, and with transparency. Let me expand on each of those. The first, local, independent, what's the big deal? Well, in this seat, the last three members have not been locals. John Howard, you've heard of him, not a resident. Maxine McHugh, heard of her, not a resident. John Alexander, current member, has, to be fair to him, moved into the electorate, lives in Putney now, but was not a member, not a local when he first sat. So local is not to be disregarded, it's not to be underestimated. And people think of me, oh yeah, you've been in East Ryde, North Ryde for 20-something years. A reminder that my formative years, growing up in the shadows of Kerry Culligan's house at 12 Honor Street, was in Ermington, which was then outside the electorate, but now is squarely within it. So I've spent 40-something years of my life in the current electorate of Bennelong. Independent, fascinating. Have a look. A lot of independent candidates in state election, other seats, but there has not been an independent candidate in Bennelong since 2007. So the idea of offering something different, local independent, is, subject to a whole lot coming out of the woodwork in the next 18 months, is in fact different. The how, in terms of the different approach, I want evidence-based policies, not ideology-based policies. I want to focus on people, not on party. When it comes to the crunch, I want to be in the next 12 months, before we formulate core policies and issues, I want to get out information packs. These are the major issues. Here's one view, here's another view, here are the facts, here are the issues. Pay attention. What do you think? What's burning for you as a person living in Bennelong? And with that type of positioning, evidence-based, here are the facts, this is the issue, then being able to respond with, okay, this is it, you've heard this side, this is what I reckon. Right? A very different approach to the 4-word slogans or the simplistic one side of the argument. The third, the values. Very easy to talk about values. Rattle them off, respect, fairness, balance, transparency. What does that mean? The real test, I think, will be, for people who sign up as supporters, you'll get tested on this. So there's simple things like respect. That means no matter what we think of the other candidates, we do not disparage them. We respect everybody that is on the list. And that might be a challenge for some. When it comes to fairness, when it comes to forming policy, it may be my idea of fairness offends some of the supporters. Why would you give those people a fair go? They don't deserve it. Right? We're serious about the fairness stuff, then this is going to find its way into policy. The third is balance. Already some people have pushed back on saying, well, if you're going to do an information kit, you're going to show this side and this side, but you're going to be showing some stuff which you may not agree with. Well, we're going to do balance. We're going to show different perspectives. It's important we understand the different perspectives. And last but not least, transparency, its sister word, accountability. That may be a challenge for the campaign team, because I'll be expecting people to do what they say they're going to do, just as I would expect people in the team to believe that I will do what I say, just as I would expect the voters to believe that I am going to do what I say. It's going to be a challenge. So, wrapping up, how are we positioned? I think that I'm going to be offering a genuine, approachable, and intelligent alternative. Fourth thing, why we're here. My main purpose here is to get the campaign team underway. So frankly, I am looking for people to sign up to help. Shortly after I'm finished, my helpers will be distributing a form. The yellow bits is just where I'm hoping that you can put your name down and the areas that you might like to help. If you're not interested, that's perfectly fine. You may, however, know some people who might have the skills, might have the interest, who you can nominate. So even if you're not interested, please feel free to give some referrals, recommendations for other people. And even if you don't want to do that, down the bottom, I said I was interested in listening. I want to start by hearing, if it's reading what you think are the key issues. I've written 12, just mark your favourite 5 or add in the ones that you think I missed. So I'm looking for feedback as well as looking for support. So the 3 types of roles. The first is a member of the campaign team. 7 roles that are listed here: campaign manager, treasurer, marketing and PR, website, social media, authority for material, community liaison, that is working with communities in connections, and the volunteer manager, looking after the people. Those roles will start now. The second type of help are specific skills, or people that are running businesses so they can help out with things like printing, graphic design, writing, proofreading, sign production, t-shirts, catering, photography, videos, office supplies, website design. So if you know people that have got those sort of skills or interests that you think might be worth contacting, let me know. I've got lists from other candidates, spoken to the independent candidate for Epping, and she's given me all the contacts for her, but I really want to start by giving people I know an opportunity to recommend people who want to do it because they believe in it. The third category, that category, they'll start soon, depending on the project plan. The third category are general volunteers. And lots of people have already said, Martin, I won't be coming along because all I can do is just provide general assistance. General assistance? Letterbox drops, helping on the polling day, helping out at events, willing to go along to the pre-poll voting areas 2 weeks out, willing to distribute flyers at shopping centres or railway stations. So that's the broad assistance. Now that won't be required until 2016. In fact, most of those things won't be required until 1 or 2 months leading up to the election. So they're the three categories of assistance. So when it comes to the crunch on that, I'm hoping that today everyone will fill in a form and at least some will put their name down as willing to support. Your call, and I'll respect your choice. But what I do promise is that for everybody that puts their name down, I will follow up. And if you put someone else's name down, I'll certainly follow up that as well. Let me bring this all together. Why am I doing this? I believe that this is the right time for me to run a campaign. What am I offering? A genuine, approachable, intelligent alternative. A local and independent candidate whose campaign is based on 4 key values: respect, fairness, balance, transparency. What am I trying to achieve? We're playing to win. I'm aiming to win the seat of Bennelong. Who'd like to join the team?